This episode of Dirt Time is brought to you by RoLanka. RoLanka is the world's best source for coconut fiber erosion and sediment control products. Specializing in constructible, efficient, and cost-effective solutions, RoLanka's products are not only effective, but also 100% biodegradable. Check out the Bio-D-Block coir system, along with RoLanka's entire product line at www.rolanka.com. RoLanka, your earth-friendly solution.
Hi, this is John McCullough. Welcome to this episode of Dirt Time TV. This episode is going to be about shoreline protection. We're on the Chena River in Fairbanks, Alaska, literally on the river, and we're going to be working on some of the shoreline erosion issues up here. We're going to use some really cool new materials. We've got coir blocks and coir rolls. Okay, we're on the outskirts of Fairbanks. We're looking for Harrison's house. We're going to meet with Jeff and Elaine Mayer with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service today, just to make sure everything's set up. Are the materials there? The equipment? Are we all in line for what's going to happen? Because boy, when we get started, I'm hoping we can keep this thing going. Well, we're here at the Chena River, and we're going to try to do some streambank stabilization here. It's almost like lakeshore stabilization because our biggest problems are not the current of the river. It's more a combination of factors. One of the biggest issues that's happening is Fairbanks is a very popular tourist area, and they have some nice river boats and other boating opportunities that go up and down the river, and those things generate waves. So the waves are coming in and eroding the banks and washing this fine silt away. Of course, the silt wouldn't be washing away if there was still a good functioning riparian corridor. Riparian being the vegetation that was existing here. Large trees, shrubs, the roots are holding the silt together and holding the banks together. One of the things we're going to try to get some vegetation back in here. Also try to break this wave splash and wave impact.
This is your beach.
This is your beach. Yeah. Look at this. This is incredible.
If you dig too far back into the bank, that's what we're going to run into, is that
right.
Pure muck. And the current is on this river, is on the far side.
Gotcha. Yeah, the water's coming in, and just like an ocean on a cliff, the wave energy is being dissipated against the cliff here. And then as the water flows back down the beach, it's taking the fines with it. So it's constantly hitting, eroding, and removing. Wait till we see the river boats. From here to your property line right over there, this is going to be the coir. I'm really excited about trying these coir logs. So, I've never installed these before, so we're all going to be learning together, okay? They're like gabions, they're coir gabions. And then these are the tiebacks. This wraps it back into the bank. So you have your tiebacks in the bank. So we need enough of a terrace for you to kind of lay that down. And then this will go on the terrace, and then we backfill, and then we wrap this over the backfill, and we lay our next one and start our next level up. We can actually go in there with the excavator and actually cut this back so we can dig our terrace for all of our coir work. If we have our coir at this elevation right here, the waves will hit it, but everything above it we can have like live siltation. These willows can be planted back relatively deep back in there. We find a place where we don't have a lot of these clumps to move. The problem is when you want to do these little inundations here, undulations, those are going to cause little localized eddies and scours. So we have to kind of figure on that. Wherever there's undulations, the water's going to have little turbulences some way, and that turbulence could cause some problems. So the bottom of your trench, and follow my dots, will be the outer edge of your trench. Leave this alone. If you're in the river, you're not even going to see the coir right here because this is going to be in front of the coir. Might as well leave that there. It'll help protect it. It's like minimal impact construction. This is going to be cool. So they're bringing in the compost and topsoil right now. Oh boy, I wish we had laid a little more gravel out here. He's really got some ruts. This is that darn muskeg. Look at those things are 2 feet deep. You know, we could have laid some filter fabric down and about 6 inches worth of rock, and I think that would have helped us give it a little bit of stability maybe. In this section right in here, we're going to put in the coir D blocks. What we're trying to do is get a nice foundation, probably about 3 feet wide, fairly level, and then that terrace and will give us a foundation to lay the fiber roll and the fiber blocks, and then we'll be able to put the block in and then backfill behind it and wrap around. But we need kind of a pretty good foundation in there. A nice flat terrace to do that one. It's going to be a nice day today. Looks like it's sunny, it's going to get warm. The way this is going along Jeff's property here, on the upstream end, we're going to do the coir block and coir rolls. This is coir. It's actually coconut, but this is called the bio block. And what it is, it's the coir arranged as a little box. It's like a little gabion basket. And then it's got this coir netting. This is about 7 grams per meter. This is a pretty strong coir netting wrapped around it as a tie back. I haven't hooked these up before, but I think we're going to also have some anchors in the front and maybe through the back also, to help secure them so they don't float. But these should be pretty easy to install, and we'll give those a try. As far as I know, these haven't been installed up here. This is the typical bioengineering construction stake. You choose the length based on your substrate. And then we will lay the bottom piece of fabric out. We're going to have 10, 20 feet of it. I'm going to bring the excavator over and backfill behind that. And then we're going to build a terrace behind it. We're going to lay the second course 10, 20 feet above that. Yeah, we're going to key it in right about over there. Okay. Come this way just a little bit, right about like that. Okay. It's going to be it. Yeah, we need the actual construction stakes, and we need a large sledgehammer. See, Nancy, they also have a sleeve here where they slide into each other. It's kind of cool the way these fit. This one slides into the next one. There's an overlap of the netting here, and it's like a coupling, if you will. So that's kind of a neat feature that these have. So now it's just kind of visualizing and seeing where we want the actual face of it. And I think that face is okay over here where you are, Nancy. Looks kind of natural, maybe. Keep them as straight as possible. You think it's frozen?
It feels like it. It hit something pretty solid all of a sudden. Right there.
We're trying to put the stakes in about every 2 foot on center, or at least uniform. It's going to show a lot from the water's edge, so we want to make it look as good as possible. Perfect. You got a good eye, John. So I'm centering them that far from that little knot to the edge. Good. Yep, and let's go up over. So here's the back side of the bio block. We want to make sure that this face is vertical, but this is the important component. We have a tie back, a reinforcing tie back here. So when we backfill this with soil, there's no way this is going to be able to move, because we're going to keep this tie back really tight in here. And then we'll backfill with soil, and then we're going to bring this top back over, and that will reinforce and also hold the block in place. And this flap will come back over here. We'll make sure we compact it. That'll give us a terrace to start our next block, and it'll come up and work its way up. We decided we're going to put a couple more blocks, a couple more stakes right here, just to hold this face up vertical. We want it to be as secure as we possibly can. We don't want that riverboat wake slamming into this thing and starting it moving. So one of the things I'd like to do when we, John, when we're securing these, is I want to make sure that this stake is as vertical as possible, and this stake really wedges in there, okay? See, this movie making is not easy job. Okay, so now we have some stakes on the face of it to keep it vertical, a few more stakes on the inside to help hold that in place. The next thing I'm going to do is go up there and get the excavator and backfill. What we want to do, John, is make sure that that's as tight as you can now. Try to pull that, that blanket up a bit. You know, this is looking good. What we want is we want that edge just a little bit low, so when that wraps around, it's dipping down a little bit, and that fabric coming down and then weight on it will hold this thing down. So you don't want it perfectly flat. I don't want it perfectly flat, and notice I was trying to get the dip to go back. Okay. It's easier said than done. The tendency is always want to get them flat or sloping outward. I think that's about right. All right, let's give her a try, see how this looks. As we were compacting the backfill, it kind of tilted the block over a little bit. So right now, John is trying to get this back stake down a little bit farther. We're driving it home, give us a little more security. Let's try pulling this as tight as you can. Someone pull tight, and someone get this stake started on an angle like this. Get it started in there, and then the stake can pull this a little bit tighter. Okay. We'll have the stake in there to hold it temporarily, and then I can get the hoe on here. That's pretty tight. Okay, a few more taps. Okay, let's continue this along here. We'll do them about every 3 feet or so. What we're trying to do is pull this piece back as tight as we possibly can. We have a chance right now to pull it back and get it tight. Of course, eventually I'm going to have soil on here, but I want to be able to get it tight. Then I'm going to bring the equipment down. I'm going to try to pull this edge back by pulling back in here a bit. Actually, it's looking pretty good. Might not need the equipment. We'll cut these guys off. These stakes will hold it. Bring the equipment in. We'll lay a little bit of soil on here, press the soil down a little bit, get another terrace, and then we'll start our next wrap of the next fold. Here's our 16-inch coir D block. We're setting it down on top of the smaller block here. We're going to use this to join to the coir log, and we've brought it in just about 3 inches on the face. And our next coir log is going to be 12 inches. So that'll bring us back to level here. We want to set the 12-inch log back just a little bit in here, and we want to set this guy in and batter it back just a little bit.